I'm Arlene Herson, and I'm glad that you can be here again this evening. We were here last week at a star-studded celebrity party for City Meals on Wheels. There's so much happening here, so many people here, we decided to do a second show. So please stay right there. We're going to learn about City Meals on Wheels and also meet a lot of the celebrities that are here tonight, very involved. They're here for a cause. We're going to get to talk to them right after these messages, so please stay right there. We're back, and now I have an extremely special guest, a man who has been called the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite. I'm so glad that you took time from the party to talk with us. No, I can't believe a man who you had been on CBS News. I mean, I was used to seeing you every night. I miss you. Do you miss being there?
Do I miss being there? Well, sure, I miss being there to a degree, but no more than I expected to when I stepped down 5 years ago now. More than that, 5.5 years. I knew that I would miss it. After all, I'd spent a lifetime in the grind of daily journalism with a teletype at my elbow and writing against deadline. Sure, I was going to miss that. But as I say, I no more than I expected to, and I'm not prepared to go back to it.
You know, but interesting, because you're so vibrant, and in retirement, I hear that you're so busy, you really don't have time to be on that wonderful sailboat that you have. You do have time to do it, but you're still busy.
Not enough of it.
Exactly, not enough. Why did you decide at that time? I mean, you could have stayed another 5 years. Why did you decide then to retire?
Oh, I thought that I'd been there long enough, that it sort of run its course. It was just edging on 20 years. I was going to quit on my 65th birthday, which was on November 4th, and they had an opportunity to bring Dan Rather aboard. They were going to on November 4th when I stepped down, and instead it was decided it'd be easier for him to edge in during the summer months, so I moved that up 6 months. It was time to go. I don't think you ought to hang around too long in these things.
Okay, well, what now? Walter Cronkite retired. Obviously, you're not sitting on the beach someplace or spending the time on your sailboat.
Well, it's a long way from that. I'm very busy. I've done in the 5 years since I stepped down from the Evening News, I've done something like 55 or 56 documentaries for CBS. That includes 39 of our very successful program, Universe, which was on for 3 years in summer replacement time, and 2 or 3 documentaries a year beyond that. There are a lot of people who don't produce nearly that much for primetime television. So I think I've been doing my part and been very busy and very happy doing it. It's a great pleasure to be able to get out and spend a little more time on each story than we had for the Evening News.
Absolutely. In the Evening News, you get 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and you...
And you're off.
Do you feel that the Evening News has changed a lot in the 5 years that you've left?
I think it's changed, but I think that probably most of it is for the better. Certainly the graphics are done better than they were before. I think there's, with the facilities with satellite and so forth today, there's a great deal more movement around the world than we had the opportunity to do before I stepped down. It's a good broadcast.
You were born in Missouri. You were born in Missouri.
Yeah.
I understand. And now I heard that you became a journalist because you read a story about a foreign correspondent in high school and said, that's what I want to do.
You got quite a memory.
Is that true?
That's true. I read a piece in American Boy magazine, which was a magazine that all the young fellows read at that time when I was about 12 years old. And it had a series of short stories depicting various professions and occupations intended to get young people interested in one thing or the other. The only two which interested me were mining, engineering, and journalism. And the journalism is the one that sticks, probably because I tried first year physics and couldn't figure out how a pulley worked, and I figured I better not go down a mine if I couldn't get that much through my head. So journalism was my other choice.
Now, interesting you say that, because most of the people who have seen you every night for so many years thought Walter Cronkite knows everything.
Well, that's you can give that semblance when you're on only for a few minutes at a time.
Speaking about knowing everything, you must have known something when you married your wife. Also a journalist, as I understand.
Well, that's what I knew. She was a good journalist. That was enough. Also, she was very pretty.
Yeah, and she still is. As a matter of fact, she's here tonight. Her name is Betsy. You've been married a long time.
Gosh, I hate to count up all those years. It seems like only yesterday we marched down the aisle, but I guess it was 40. It'll be 47 years ago next March.
Wow.
It's a long time.
Wow, and you just celebrated your 70th birthday
I did
here with a
indeed.
very special party.
Well, I want you to know I play singles tennis. I think I'm in pretty good shape.
I think you're in great shape.
Thank you.
And I thank
So are you.
Thank you. And I thank you very much for taking the time from the
Glad to
party
be.
to talk with us. It's a real pleasure for me to meet you, and that's the way it is.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Please stay right there. We'll be back with more guests at this terrific party. We're back now. We're speaking with Doris Lilly, syndicated gossip columnist. Welcome. Although not just a syndicated gossip columnist,
Author?
an author. Okay, you don't have to contend. We have people walking back and forth over here, so it's good. And author, you actually you had your own column in the New York Post for a long time.
I wrote a column for when Dorothy Schiff, pardon me, when Dorothy Schiff had the newspaper. I did a society column for about 7 years.
Now, would you say a society column or a gossip column?
Well, gossip about low lives and high society. No, not really. But a provocative. I still do it, but I do it on a national basis. Now, I don't have a newspaper in New York, but I did it on television for Channel 11 for about 4 years. I had my own piece like you're doing here tonight. So I keep busy. My last book was How to Marry a Billionaire.
Yes, you started with How to Marry a Millionaire, and then have moved to How to Marry a
I kept going
Billionaire.
up.
Okay, now is there a difference? Is there a different approach to a millionaire and a
About
billionaire?
$100 million.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I
You
mean,
know how many millions are in a billion? 1,000 million are a billion. I never knew that before.
Yeah, I didn't know that before either. I don't know if our audience knew that before
Well,
either.
it's good to know because there are a lot of billionaires today. Millionaires, they are the minority. They're billionaires now. It's hard to believe, I know.
So we're not looking for millionaires anymore.
There's so much money around today that it's staggering. It just boggles your mind.
Well, as a matter of fact, this party that we're at now for City Meals on Wheels is hosted by the Bronfmans and the Tisches, two families of staggering amounts of money, but people who give their time to help others, which I think
Well, I
is
know
really
that Edgar
extraordinary.
Bronfman is, who I know personally, he and his wife, are extremely charitable, and Edgar especially giving his time for his projects, his United Jewish, does something for Israel. I can't remember what it's called, but they're very generous with their time and their money, and that's what I think is nice.
Now, since you have specialized in meeting, marrying millionaires, billionaires, do you find that most of them are generous?
No, unfortunately. I think that New York billionaires are much more generous than Texas millionaires. Texas millionaires are not generous at all. They're only generous in their own state of Texas. And after all, this is the United States of America, and they should spread it around a little bit. Anyway, we have more millionaires in New York now than they have in Texas.
Okay, you wrote a book. You wrote an article, actually, not just a book, on women over 40, not only meeting, marrying, being with successful, influential men.
Yeah.
And you said the women over 40 have it easier, not necessarily easier, but are more desirable to those kind of men.
A very rich man, if he has any sense, doesn't want, let's say a billionaire, let's say, of 60 or 70, he doesn't want to be with a woman who never heard of Carol Lombard, for instance, and they look ridiculous, in my opinion. I think a very a rich man, older man, with a very young girl, 19 or 20, something like that, I just think he looks comical. And anyway, they have nothing to talk about. And I think that women, more mature women, 40, 50, I know some that are 60 that are doing very, very well. And age is not as important as it used to be. Age used to mean everything, unless you were young. 40 used to be old. When you were 40 years old, when you think of the movie All About Eve, when Betty Davis said, after all, I'm 40. I mean, that's the only thing that dates that movie, is that she was 40, which everybody says, 40, what's 40? 40.
Okay, are you married, by the way?
No.
Well, are you going to read your book, How to Marry a
I
Billionaire?
have to go back and read it again to find out how. But that's not what I'm really... You always get what you want. And I got what I wanted.
Which is?
My freedom, which I adore.
Well, I'm glad that you had a chance.
I can do what I want.
Well, I wanted to meet you, and I got that. And I thank you very much for taking the time for this party, because it's very busy here.
It's getting very noisy.
Yes, getting noisy.
But there are a lot of millionaires in there.
They are. Maybe we'll find some of the millionaires.
Oh, let's try.
Okay. Stay right there. We'll be back with some more guests at this party for City Meals on Wheels. We'll be back in a minute. We're back, and now we're joined by the Mayor of New York City, Mayor Ed Koch. Thank you. I know how busy you are, and I really appreciate your being here. We're here for City Meals on Wheels, to feed the people who can't feed themselves otherwise. Now, I kind of wonder, you're originally born in the Bronx. Your father was a furrier. Is a charity like this kind of special to you, perhaps because of your background?
Well, I think so. My background includes not only respect for one's parents and the elderly in particular, but also, while I'm not observant in my religion, I am very proud of my religion. I happen to be Jewish, and part of my religion requires, as is the case with most, if not all other religions, that you provide charity. And if you believe in the afterlife as I do, you know that if you don't carry out God's admonition, which is to provide charity if you're able to do it, you may not sit at his right hand.
Okay, and you do a lot. You spend a lot of time doing things like this for charity, but you seem to be really loving the job of Mayor of New York City.
Well, I do love being the mayor of the city of New York, and it is because of the special constituency, 7.5 million people who make up this glorious city, every ethnicity, every race, religion represented here. And with all of our occasional differences that will exist when you have so many people of such diversity, we're nevertheless probably the most tolerant city in terms of respect for the traditions of others.
Okay, and I know that you're busy. It's very difficult for me to only spend 1 minute with you. I hope that we can spend more time
do more
at a
later.
later time.
Thank
Promise?
you. Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. We're back. We're joined now by a very special lady, Celeste Holm. Hello. Hi. Actually, there have been so many facets to your career as an actress, award winner. You are chairman of the New Jersey Motion Picture Film Commission,
right.
if I said that correctly.
Perfect.
Okay. And now you're a bag lady on a soap opera.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
It's kind of interesting. Well, my husband has been on Loving for 3 years. And so all of a sudden, they called me and asked me whether I would like to be on one. And I didn't have anything else at that time, so here I am. But I feel that it's important to call attention to these people.
To the bag ladies.
Well, to these people who live, I don't know how. With their shopping carts. The other night, now that I'm playing one, I see them everywhere. Yes. And we were driving home the other night, and there was a person, I don't know, there was a man or a woman, but he had, or he or she, had this much huge pile of stuff all around. It was a very cold night. I don't know how he managed. I don't know how they managed.
You know, it's very true. I see them in New York City all the time also. And I kind of wonder, in playing a bad lady and being involved, we do have City Meals on Wheels here, which feeds not necessarily just the poor, but the people who can't help themselves.
People who can't get out or people who can't take care of themselves. That's right.
But
That's
bad ladies
wonderful.
can help themselves, can't they? Do you feel that's...
Well, they have no
chosen way of
visible
life?
means of support, most of them. And, of course, they're all individual cases. And I think probably, I would say 9/10 of them need some kind of psychiatric help. Because, well, I think it is a shame that we ask everybody to behave the same. In other words, because I like something, I assume you do, which is not true, but I know that everybody likes to be comfortable.
But now you've been comfortable in a lot of different roles.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable in this role?
I'm finding it.
You're unloving. Your husband is unloving.
Yes. Wesley Addy. And
Have you ever worked together before?
oh, many times. But we're not in the same storyline yet. I have a feeling that we may eventually cross paths.
Get together on the air. We unfortunately, I know this party is in full swing. I know that there are so many people here that you'd like to join. I would like you to come back again and do a whole half hour with us another time.
Thank you. I have a movie coming on soon. It's called Alter Ego.
Oh.
But I don't know when. They don't tell me that.
Okay, well, with you're busy with the New Jersey Film Commission and loving and now a movie, let's talk about all that when you come back on the show.
Okay,
another
I'd
time.
love to.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
I hope that you've enjoyed being here at this absolutely fabulous party and that you'll join me again next week. Meantime, see you then. Good night.